Welcome everyone. Topic for today is Anglo-Saxon age. It is the very first age for English literature and one of the important one too. Without it, it remains very hard for student to crack entrance exam, and it is very beginning age, so student pay less attention to it. Here in this lecture, we are covering nearly all topic from this age because at least 2 to 3 questions could be captured from this age. In this lecture, we have used various books. The first one is Albert, History of English Literature. Second one is English Literature, William J. Long. Third one and fourth one are two smaller books, and these books are very important. History of English Literature, W.H. Hudson, a short History of English Literature, I. 4 Evans. Each book has different quality. The quality of these books will be told to you later on, but let's move directly to our age. And here we are having our age of History of English Literature, and this is what we have for UGC NET Anglo-Saxon. I am Deepak. I am defining this age for you, and first slide that we can have here is the background. The background of age, we should know about it, and it begins in the year 450, and it is believed to be continued till 1066, that is the time Roman conquest. The main people, inhabitant living here, or the ruler of this age was three. First Angles, second Saxon, and third Jews. They transferred to England as a highly organized tribal unit from Germanic area, or that is why they are called Germanic tribes. Anglo-Saxon in more openly related to language. That is, these group are speaking, and such language continued till 12th century, and sometime this is also called Germanic language. If you need more history about it, you can visit William J. Long's heading 2 under Anglo-Saxon Life at page number 22. This page number could be different because I am using older version of William J. Long. So heading 2 under Anglo-Saxon Life is more important. Page number could be different. Now the thing comes, how the term we are having Anglo-Saxon. We have here Anglo, Saxon, and Jews. How this Anglo-Saxon came to us, and for it you can see this picture. It is defining three communities or three people inhabitant, Anglo, Saxon, and Jews, and out of that we are using first two, Anglo and Saxon. Jews are not mentioned here because the Angles and Saxon were those who established their colonies in England at that time, and they are representing different areas, and that is why their language, their domination on culture, society, and people was more strong as compared to Jews. That is why only two are used, Anglo-Saxons. We know that these are Germanic tribe, Anglo-Saxon and Jews, and their warrior clan, they always fight, and their main aim was to expand their territory. For this territory, they're always in fight. In simple way, you can start once they migrated from their country, they attack on these people and they take possession of their area, and they started to speak their language and introduce their language and literature. And later on, these people started to write literature, either in translation on their own language or this Anglo-Saxon language, which later become English language. And such things we are having, but this is a journal background. This is a small of use for us. Instead of defining all, I recommend you to read book instead of this one. But now, before we go further on the literature, now it is very easy for us to understand what is the importance of this book, these two smaller books. Likewise, you can read either book out of those. One book from these two books can make you easy, but several things are here in these books which are not mentioned. For example, at one place, so we are having Anglo-Saxon age begins, so 450. But if you go with this book this book, then both of these are having different time. One is defining 449 and another one is defining 450. Both are true, but the thing is that either it is 449 or 450, both are nearly correct, because 1 year gap is not difference. And this book you can also use. For example, if you find this book too heavy to read, you can go with this smaller book. Small books are very easy. Whatever is mentioned in 20-30 pages in this book and this book, that is mentioned in this book in just 4 pages. And these four pages are more important, as you can get an overall history of Anglo-Saxon in 3 and 4 pages. So if you read all 3 books, this one and this one, you will get nearly the same information. But out of that, if you need more information about literature and new classy literature, then you can read this book. It is also having 4 pages of Anglo-Saxon age, but the point that this book will give are not in these 3 books. So the book is more important. You should have a base book for yourself. Without a base book, it would be very hard for you to crack UGC net, and that is why make one your base book and rest as a complementary or other book. And now we are moving again to our part, this Germanic tribes and so on. And now we are not checking this, their whole overall history, background, culture, language, and so on. Instead, we will jump directly to literature part, because literature is the one that is related to our exam, and most things will come from literature part only. So, and in the literature, the first, as we know, these are fighting clan. They are always in fight with one another, and that if you go with this epic kind of thing, epic is most important part of literature, and this book opens with as Beowulf in chapter 2, that is the opening with Beowulf. If you can see Beowulf as our first poetry, and in our first poetry we are having Beowulf, and here you can see that it begins with Beowulf. So the very thing that Beowulf is considered the first epic. But if you look at the overall general point of view of epic, epic is nearly a poem that is in 12 books. And that is having a grandeur tale of a hero who is helped by the supernatural machinery, and in the end is very magnificent, and there is a war. That is a general definition of epic poetry. The language is totally different, their lifestyle, their dressing sense is entirely different, they are following a different tradition, norms, culture, ethics, and everything. That is part of ethics. But this poem is totally different from such kind of definition that we are having. And instead of wasting much time, let's jump directly to the epic. And if you can see, I am Ripper, Tear, Slasher, Gouger, I am the teeth, I am the darkness, the talons in the night, and mine is strength, lust, and power. I am Beowulf. This is a kind of Beowulf story, and in the background you can see Grendel, the monster is there, and he is, look at the face and the teeth, and now he will cut his hand. You can see the cutting hand jumping down, and here the head is down, the hand is cut off him, and later on the head is also chopped out. And this is the Beowulf kind of we have. And now let's understand the kind of thing that Beowulf is giving to us. And Beowulf, the author is anonymous, unknown, no one know who is its author, and it is written somewhere around the 6th or 7th century. Timeline is also unknown, so do not fight on who is author or the timeline of this book, because no one know anything about it. Its hero is Beowulf, who is king of Geats and the son of Excau. In it, we are having Monster Grendel, and we have seen the face of Monster Grendel here on, and the hand is chopped out, and this is Monster Grendel we are having here. And King Harthgar, who is king of Danes, also Harthgar is a character, and this is epic poem of 3,182 lines. If you compare this epic with Ramayana, Mahabharata, or Paradise Lost, then this is not epic in the true sense, because it is just a smaller story, but and not divided into 12 books as per the standard of epic. But the tale that is defining is heroic grandeur, and he is fighting first with the monster Grendel, later on with his mother. Her name is unknown, and finally he fought with a dragon. And you can see the dragon in the picture is the one who can spit fire. The dialect that is used in this language in this poem is West Saxon, although sometime it is believed that it is Anglican or Mercian, which is not, and it is no way near to Northumbrian dialect. The poem concludes with the funeral of Beowulf, because while killing this dragon, both Beowulf and dragon died, and in the end we are seeing the funeral of Beowulf. It is considered the first major poem in European vernacular, and it is considered national epic of England or English, although there is no mention of England in it. Its setting is in Denmark. And Seamus Henne is the translator of this book. His translation came in the year 1999, and this translation is sometimes called Heinewolf, not Beowulf. And tribe, as we have seen, it is Germanic tribe, continental Germanic tribe, because if you go to Anglo, Saxon and others, these are all Germanic tribes, and that is why there is Germanic tribes or continental Germanic. Everything is there. And now if you go a bit deep of this Beowulf, and here you can see no sound of harp shall waken the warrior, but rather a black raven. Now you can see that raven is sitting here, and then you can see the monster Grendel here, and now here and here. But from the moor beneath the misty cliff came Grendel. In the colorless night came sinking shadow wanderer. From his eye gleamed ugly light. Look at his eyes, the very like a flame, and the bird fly. And the dragon spitting fire. And in the days of your Beowulf, you can see here the sword, map, and other important thing, because he was a traveler itself, so he is having this, and this sword is itself called Nagling, and it is the same with which he is going to hunt the dragon. And this is the dragon that we are having, and this dragon is not an ordinary dragon. He is very dangerous, very fearful, and his eyes are burning. And not only this, he is large and mammoth in size, and he can kill everyone even just by look. No need to use his power, but more importantly, this dragon spit fire, and that is the dragon, very dangerous one. And Beowulf has to fight with him while he it was flying. So it was not easy to kill him, and he was killed by taking his heart out of his body. And this way, this di- dragon dies, and you can see you can kill smaller dragons or flying increments by using swords, but it is not easy to kill a big dragon who can spit fire. They are not spitting fire. So you have to be very brave and powerful if you want to kill. And our hero is more like that. And this way he killed the dragon, he slayed the dragon, although it is just a representation. In exact way of the poem, dragon is not killed in this way. His heart is taken out of his body. You can watch the movie Beowulf in this connection if you are interested. And this is how our poem or story epic comes to an end. And like comparatively, this is very giant in size and can fly, so it has some qualities of epic in itself. And now, apart from the Greek, these dragon theme epic, we are coming to poets. The Ace is the earliest one, and that is why we are not having many poets here. There is a small group of poets, and out of them, poets are either writing poetry or doing prose. So poet and prose writer, you can say these are the things here. And there are two groups of poet. The first one is Academian group, and second one is Sian Wolf group. In the first one, Academian group, you are having first native maker of English work. He is an inmate of St. Hilda Monastery near Whiteway. It is said that one ordinary night he was sleeping, an angel appeared in his dream and requested him to sing in praise of God. And that is how came the poetry of academia. And his paraphrase that is written somewhere around 670s is the important religious part of poetry. His poetry later influenced Sian Wolf, and he later formed the second group of poets. And Academia group is having important poem like Genesis, Exodus, Daniel. Three shorter poems are considered one under the title Christ and Satan. And this Genesis kind of thing that we are having here is more important. If you need a bit kind of history of Genesis, you can read this book. And this book is defining Genesis story is divided into two parts, Genesis A and Genesis B. And this Genesis A is the story of fall of angel, and A is story of Adam and Eve, and story Genesis B is meaning the life of Saturn. Overall, you can say Genesis is a book. The meaning of Genesis is book, and you can read this at page number 11, and the very last stanza. It is written. If you can read, here it is. If you can read here it is Genesis A and Genesis B. So that is remain very important if you go in this way. And next is the Sian Wolf group. Sian Wolf group, or Sian Wolf itself, was a Northumbrian. Some of his poems are Juliana, Fate of Apostles, Christ, Eileen, and The Dream of Rhodes. Out of that, Dream of Rhodes is considered his masterpiece. It contains 156 lines, and it is about poet's vision of the cross. And he addressed him by the cross describing the crucifixion. So you can simply say that is more biblical in nature, that is having Christian theme. And it is about the cross on which Christ was crucified, and that is not very long poem. 156 lines are enough to narrate the saga or the tale of Christ crucifixion. And now it is about the group of poets or their leaders, because the Sian Wolf group is led by the Sian Wolf, and the Academia group is led by the Academia itself. And if we go with their other writers who are important in the scene, and this is not a poet in itself, but a history writer, you could simply call him. It is Venerable Bede, and he was born 673 and died 735, but that date is not sure, because maximum of book are defining different, because at that time nothing was written, so you have to consider it in this way. He was a native of Jarrow in Northumbria, and he is a Benedict monk. He wrote mainly in Latin. His famous book is Ecclesiastical History of English People. This book originally written by Venerable Bede in Latin, not in English. But later on, this book is translated into English. We will come later on who he translated it, and Alfred King. Alfred King is one of the most powerful king as well as scholar of England at that time. He had several victories in war, and that is why he was given the title Alfred the Great. He was not only a good king, ruler, and a powerful monarch of England of Anglo-Saxon era, but also a person who promote education and literature. He was himself a translator of at least 5 books. And out of those 5 is Orosius' History of the World and Bede's Ecclesiastical History of English People. He translated both these works. Not only this, the very famous Anglo-Saxon Chronicle begin during his reign, and that we will speak later on. And it is considered that the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle is the first vernacular history of any Teutonic people. And now we are coming to the group of books. As we see in that there are a group of poets, and these are in Academia group and Sian Wolf group, and we are also having prose writers. But this is also translator and prose writer. There are group of books also. These writers' book are divided into different segment, and first is having extra book. It contains maximum older elegies. One of the most important manuscript containing Old English poetry. It is given by Bishop Leofric to Exeter Cathedral. Exeter Cathedral, that is why its title is the Exeter. It contains several poems in longer and smaller one. In the shorter poems, we are having Wanderer, that is elegy, the Seafarer, again elegy, Wife's Lament elegy, the Husband's Message elegy, Resignation, the Complaint of Dawa, Withest, Ruin, Wolf, and Coward. These are having pain, sorrow, grief in these elegies. And now, before we move, we should understand what the elegy is. Elegy is a poem that is about pain, suffering, grief, or sometimes death of someone. Older elegies are starting from 1st century, or even we can move back to the older era of Trojan War, where some elegies were written. Mostly these were in the song kind of thing. A person going on and singing about the pain and suffering. You can compare it with the Rhyme of Ancient Mariner, where mariner is going and singing about his tale of pain and grief. You can just compare, but that is just a comparative kind of thing. And if you go with the longer poem is Gothic, Christ, Phoenix, and Juliana. And now if you can see on the left side of your having the title book, and that is by the Israel Golans, and the title itself is showing extra book, and it is having a introduction kind of thing on the title page, which is saying an anthology of Anglo-Saxon poetry presented to Exeter Cathedral by Lafayette, first Bishop of Exeter, between 1050 to 1071, and still in possession of the Dean and Chapter, poems 1 and 8. So these are the things that we are having, and time is always a kind of different thing that we are having, because here age is having 171, but in the, if we look at here we are having time 170. So time is always a problem here. You cannot take time as a fix. Who knows which one is right or wrong? So 1 or 2 years gap is always there, and do not think sometime gap of 20, 50 or 100 years could be there. So do not stick to that, because there is no written record about it, or there is very less. So we have to believe whatever is published in books. So all books are giving different details. So instead of going with the date and other, let's move next. Second is the Versailles book. This Versailles book mostly contains the poems of Sian group, and it is again old manuscript of English, and it contains prose, sermons, and some 3,500 lines of old English poetry. And out of this, Dream of the Road, Andreas, Aline, Fate of the Apostles, these are the important poems over here. And this is more related to Sian Wolf group. Again, let's move back and see the Sian Wolf group itself, and all the poem of Sian Wolf are under. And this is why it is more associated with the Sian Wolf group. And you can see in the new reading on the left side, the book signal, Versailles book, edited by Santha Jasser and Andre Ocha. So these are things that we have about Versailles book. And now just move the poetry itself. The poetry is more important, and as earlier we have discussed the epic poetry, so we are not going to count it again. And in poetry we are having two type of literature. First one is pagan literature. Pagan literature is mostly Christian in theme, having Christianity theme. And by the pagan we mean Christianity is there a hero who is visiting a sea, and there is a war, and all things are surrounded against it. But many of these poetry are secular in nature. At least a critic can make them, although they are not. And pagan literature, Christianity is there around the sea itself, and war is there. And if you apply these things, then you can establish Beowulf itself a pagan poem or pagan literature part, because everything is there, sea is there, and war is there, as well as the Christianity theme is there. So pagan literature is having either direct poetry or event, and we are having with us Walder fight at Spinsbourne, Battle of Burundura, and Battle of Malden. So these we will discuss these poems later on. And now elegiac poetry we are having. In elegiac we already discussed what is elegy, and it is in extra book, and we are having wanderer, seafarer, wife's lament, husband masses, and these are this elegiac poems we are having. And now let's go with this explanation of pagan literature. And in pagan we are having Vedist. Vedist is a pagan part, having this poem is having somewhere around 150 lines, and it is considered one of the oldest poem in English language. Again, the theme is Christianity. The title of the poem means the white wanderer, seafarer, or the far goer itself. And if you look at theme and compare how it is pagan literature, it is the wandering of a minstrel or a traveling singer or a musician. It can be anything, and he speaks of the feudal audience and sings of the various wars. And that is what we are having. pagan literature. And you can also see he is a traveling singer, and he is also speaking about pain and so on. You can also put it in elegies, but it is more about but it is again in the pagan category. Walder, the old English epic of Walder, that is very important poem and perhaps the most heroic itself, and part of pagan literature. Walder is the hero of this poem. His full name is Walter of Aquatine. The poem is in two segments and contains 63 lines in each. It is about the exploits of Walter of Aquatine, which is the hero. It is said that he, along with his bride, abducted and kept as a captive by the Attila. And you can say the story is about Walder and his betrothed bride Hildegard, who were hostage at the court of Attila. Attila is the very cruel, the cruelest ruler, and he was just wanted to establish his domination of other people. So he captured them, he killed them brutally, and that is the story that is mentioned here of Walder, Hildegard, and Attila. Attila, if you want to know more about Attila, just Google his name, Attila. Sometime Attila the Hunk is also called, and he was one of the cruelest person, and his victories are those unbelievable. He was a great warrior, great person who can make his country proud and so on. But that is not content. And now what happened in our story, that story, in the story of Walder, he escaped with his bride Hildegard, but they do not escape only, but with the large amount of treasure. And now they are reaching around the mountains, but suddenly they were attacked by Gunther and his warriors. But among these warriors of Gunther, there was one person who was former comrade of Aquatine, Walter of Aquatine. With the help of his, he defeated this army, and they fight them and defeat them and escape in the mountains. And that is the whole what we are having about this Walder. And if you want more about it, then you can go to William J. Long, page 22 again, and everything is defined. As I say, page number could be different because every time I am using older version here, and the page number could be different. So don't go with this page number, William J. Long, page 22. And now we are coming at Fight at Spinsbourne. Again, it is part of pagan literature fragment. It is fragment of 48 lines. Somewhere it is written 50 lines. So if you are reading from different books, then one is saying 48 lines, some other is saying 50 lines. It is more about war song. It describes Homeric power, the defense of Hall by Hanif with 60 warriors against the attack of Finn and army. And the battle stands 5 days. Outcome of war is not mentioned here because the book is incomplete, or the later part of book is destroyed or lost, or whatever the calamity it faced. But we do not know what happened to at the end of war, who was the winner, so this side or that side. But we just know that it is a description of fight at Finsburg. Its allusions are quoted in Beowulf poem. It is the same when Grendel is killed by Beowulf. That is after his death, there is a party, or you can say feast in Harriet, and that before him, if you watch the movie itself, Beowulf, then you will find how these 60 warriors are going to kill Grendel. And this is how we are having fight at Finsburg, not only in one, but in two most important poems. First is fight at Finsburg, and second is in Beowulf. Now we are moving to next, and Battle of Bramble. It is again pagan literature, year 37, the dialect is West Saxon. It is fought between British, that is Athelstan, the grandson of Alfred, and Danes. And the generation of Alfred is fighting with the Danes, and these Danes were very cruel. And in the next later prose section, we will come to know about this Danes in the prose section, not here. And this battle of Burundura is also described by Alfred Tennyson in his poem Ballad and Other Poems, which published the 1880s. At that time, he was poet laureate of England. And Battle of Burundura, do remember, it is more important. And now we are moving to elegy. In the elegy section, we are having Seafarer divided into two distinct parts. First is defining the hardship of ocean life, and second part is more an allegory. And as we know that Seafarer is more about this, and you can read more about these poems from David Datches or William J. Long. The Complaint of Dawa, again elegy, picture of Saxon scout or minstrel. You can check these the meaning of scout and minstrel and from your works, and that would be more important for you, because if you do not the meaning the scout or minstrel, then you could not understand it. And this scout or minstrel was not in happy mood but in sorrow or pain. His living depend upon the power to please his chief, because the content of poem is a person who is a scout or minstrel, and he is serving a person. If he want to keep his job, he has to please his master, because without the appeasement of his master, he could not stick to the position on which he is. And the poem is lyrical in form with a definite refrain, and may be called the first epic lyric English of English poetry. It is having 42 lines and 7 unequal sections, and it is ending with the Christian consolation. So this is what we have. And apart from this, we are also having wife's complaint, an elegy, and husband's message as an elegy. And till here we have finished our elegic section, and now we are moving to prose. So prose section is the last important thing we are having in this lecture. And the prose section, we are having Alfred. This is the same Alfred the Great we are having, and it is about war, kingship, culture, everything. He defined everything. He is considered father of English prose. Recently, 2 days ago, there is a PhD entrance exam of Mahatma Gandhi Central University, and this question was asked in PhD entrance exam: who is father of English prose? And answer is Alfred. He is in the pastoral cadre. He begins series of translation due to the lamentable state of English learning, largely result of deep predation of the Danes. This Danes is there. These are the person who attacked England, and they were very cruel. They killed people for no reason, just to establish their domination, possession, and to acquire their source land, and if possible women too. And they are degrading their culture by the introduction of new language, literature, and everything. And that is why Alfred was very serious, and he started translating works in his own language, the language he was using, and that is Anglo-Saxon or the West dialect, whatever is the theme we are having. And he is accredited to 5 translations. First is the pastoral care of Pope Gregory, and history of the world of Orosius, and vulnerable base ecclesiastical history of English people, Boethius' consolation of philosophy, and lastly soliloquies of Saint Augustine. And out of these 5, 4 are accepted that are translated by Alfred. But on vulnerable base, ecclesiastical history of English people, there is a dispute. Some believes that the book was not translated by him but someone else. But apart from it, all four are written by him, and the thing that we are having these five translation in chronology, which is the first one he translated, and the second one, and the last one is the Soliloquies of Saint Augustine. Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Anglo-Saxon Chronicle is another important work, and it is inspired by Alfred himself, and it is sometimes believed that he dictated some entries in it. It is created somewhere in 9th century, and it is having 9 manuscripts. Each manuscript is going in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and the manuscripts are Winchester Chronicle, Abingdon Chronicle 1, Abingdon Chronicle 2, Worcester Chronicle, Peterborough Chronicle, Canterbury Bilingual Epitome, copy of Winchester Chronicle, Cottonian Fragment, Easter Table Chronicle. So these are 9 manuscripts, but out of these 9 manuscripts, manuscript A and manuscript E is important. Manuscript A is also called Parker, and E is also called Loud MSS. So although it can be called A Winchester Chronicle or Parker. So each of these 9 manuscripts are having a name with them, like A is having Parker, E is having Loud MSS. But all other name of other chronicles are not important, or only the importance related with the A and E, Winchester Chronicle and Peterborough Chronicle. Alfred. Alfred is popularly known for his grammar, and he has Catholic homilies. This Catholic homilies is not complete title. It is also having a subtitle. Now you can go and check what is the subtitle of this, and it is a sermon suitable for delivery by priest. And third is Life of Saint, written before 998, and translations from scripture. His colloquy is of great interest between master and pupil. It is same like debate that we are having Socrates with his pupil, because they are called Socratic dialogue. And even if you go with the Bharat Muni's Natya Sastra, that is again a dialogue between master and pupil. And similarly, Horace work, that is Horace Ars Poetica, is a similar tale, master and pupil. You can just compare for them with this work as a debate or great interest between master and pupil. And now you can imagine what could be the content. One person is asking question, other one is replying to satisfy their thirst of knowledge. And now the last, we are having Wulfstan, and he is Archbishop of Wordcaster and Archbishop of York. Serme Lupi and Angelus is his most famous work, and it's also called a sermon to the wolf to the English. It is addressed to English people when the Danes were persecuting them most severely. As we have come to know about this Dane, it is also mentioned by King Alfred. It is also mentioned by Dawa and other. And here we are also having in the battle, and several place they are mentioned in different way. And Wulfstan is also mentioning. Wulfstan Kai's a Fleming indictment of Arthurland. Arthurland is a king. He is from the family tree of Alfred, and a weak, cowardly king, unpreparedness in defense of village, destroyed of moral and national integration. And last is this we are having, and with this, we are about to end of this, and with these comes the close of Anglo-Saxon, and the defeat or of Anglo-Saxon at the Battle of Hastings sealed their end, and this battle took place in October 14, 1066, and it was again the main king of that was Edward the Confessor. Here the fight was between the Norman French army of William, Duke of Normandy, against Anglo-Saxon King Harold Godwinson. In this battle, Harold was defeated by William Normandy, and now Normandy was the king of that area. Later on, he expanded his area, and as a result, there was the death of King of Edward. Edward the Confessor. Edward is none other than the family member of Alfred the Great. And with this comes a new beginning. And although we are covering from 5th century to 1066, but King Arthur is not mentioned here. Perhaps it needs another definition. And if you look at Anglo-Saxon from history, they are those who establish their rule through war. They were good warriors. They come there, they attack on weak and take possession of their land, sources, language, and establish their literature. So whatever they did from 450 to 1066, same happened with them. And Duke of Normandy, William Normandy, replied them in their language, and they were defeated, and thus come to end of their rule. They were killed. Their established territory is gone at the hand of new person, William Normandy, and now he is starting his literature. And through all, you can say that these Anglo-Saxon, either it is Angel, Saxon, or Jews, they were warriors. You can compare these warriors with the Islamic ruler Babur, who come from other areas and established on India. Even several Islamic invaders come to India and have there. And similarly, these Angel, Saxon, and Jutes were those. They come from other areas, take possession of there, and they rule them. You can also compare them with England's colonization of countries like America under them, Canada under them, long part of Africa under them, India under them, and some part of China under them. So this is the same kind of thing, and it is having long history here. So you can see they started as a warrior and they ended as a warrior. So beginning to end, their thrust was to win territory by this war. And this you can say a battle of Hastings or war of Hastings in 1066 was the last time that they fight, and after that their history is erased, and now they are preserved more in books. Their culture is gone, their lifestyle is gone, their territory is gone, but their areas are new buildings. Who know where they were? But what we know about them is through books, and that is why it is first is and remains important for us. And with this I will say thank you. And but again, ending doesn't mean end. As I say again, if you want to score good victory or good score at UGC net, you need one base book, and you can choose at least any one book. There are several I am having in that books also, but I'm not counting one. I am giving you those books which are useful and you can do, and out of these make at least one as your base book. If there is one base book with you, then you can scale several boundaries, and you can get good scores with you. And without having a base book, you cannot. Most of time we commit mistake is that we go with the notes of some coaching institute or go with the video lectures only and reject books. Or sometimes we just follow the MCQ questions and books. that is will not work. The best way is to have at least one base bow. And with this, I will say thank you. If you like the video, you can subscribe to channel. And with this, thank you. Take care.